Welcome back to Ready, Set, Sold. I'm your host, Bryan Vogt, and we've been talking about leasing and buying and selling. And we've been talking mostly about the military because this is the time where things start happening with the military. They're coming in, they're getting orders, they're going out, and there's a lot of movement in the marketplace. And so that's why we're talking about the military. But sometimes, not too many people do it. Same thing with people trying to sell their own home, Fizz, we call them in the real estate business. There are people that also think that going alone, trying to lease it, is a good idea. And Renee, you can try it, and it's a free country, but that doesn't always work out so well, does it?
It doesn't, unfortunately, and it can lead to some very, very expensive consequences if you do it fair housing-wise, but also just in taking care of your property and what type of tenants you get and how expensive evictions are as well.
Well, that's true too, and I think that there are certain rules that you have to go by. Correct. I know that it maybe is the same as that you guys have, but on the same token, there's some guidelines that people really need to start looking for, and if you don't have those, look. Most people are honest, I get that, but unfortunately there are some people that come in, and I'm not even talking about the military people coming in, but I'm just talking about the military maybe trying to lease it, trying to save some money. There's some things that they need to be doing if they're going to do it themselves. Credit checks, where they work at. You've got a list of things you guys do, right?
Yeah, we have our policies on what we check, and you don't want to skip anything on it. The other thing you have to be careful of is for fair housing, you have to be consistent. So what check you do on one, what questions you ask one inquiry, you have to ask every inquiry. And unfortunately, I've seen it before where owners trying to do it themselves unknowingly ask questions to one prospect that they didn't ask to another prospect, and that's committing a fair housing violation, and it could get you in some serious trouble with it. And just doing the background checks, making sure that if you deny somebody for something, if it comes up on another application, you deny them as well. So you have to have those policies in place and really follow through with it just to make sure that you're in compliance with it all and it doesn't end up backfiring on you, which would be a very, very costly mistake.
That's a good point. And I think the other part, and this is for my being in the business so long and seeing the rental aspect of it, it doesn't mean that there's nothing perfect, nothing 100%. But I can tell you that more horror stories I've heard is from, quite frankly, when people have gone alone. They went in, one person in particular, I remember, they came in, long story short, a few months in, they stopped paying their rent. As research came in, they really didn't even have a job. They made their first month rent, but they didn't do anything else. They took them forever to finally get them out of the property. Once they got to the property, they literally had $5,000 to $10,000 worth of damage.
Right.
It was just horrendous.
Yeah. I've seen it before, and I've been brought in on it. I've had it happen in the past where I have denied somebody and said, no, we do not rent to them for these XYZ reasons, and an owner does it, and I've seen it backfire, and then they come to me and say, I should have listened to you. What do I do now? Because you can get that personal side of it, and unfortunately, some things can be missed, the personal side. I've seen it before where people have made up fake landlords. And through my experience, I can, pretty much tell when I'm calling a fake landlord due to the specific questions of knowing what to ask and what type of responses you should be getting on that. So people will do some very bold and daring things whenever they're in desperate situations. And, it can cause errors to be made if you're not following through and knowing exactly what you're looking for. And not just on the surface, but what you're looking for deep down as well, because it's huge. Yeah, and like you said, thousands and thousands of dollars to get rid of the people that are in your house that should have never been put in there in the first place, but then the damage that it leaves behind, plus in the emotional damage that comes with it too. It's a huge loss all around whenever that happens to an owner.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And I tell you, I'm going to follow up with it because there's some stories. We're running out of time here, but if you've got time to stay on, Renee, there's some other things I wanted to talk about. What if you don't know what to do? Should you lease your property out? Should you sell your property? How should you and the property management and a realtor be working together? And that might surprise you. That's an important step too, depending on the situation. So if you got some time, Renee, we're going to follow up in the next segment. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. I've been talking with Renee Wittenauer with Cecil Property Management. I am Bryan Vogt. We will talk to you in a few.